Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. We wanted to kind of give you a little break of the more serious podcasts that we've had over the last few weeks and talk about some humorous parenting stories that we've got, some things that have happened to us over the years and we just kind of laugh at now. But
Yeah, Sully was just in there tonight saying some off the wall stuff that made me say, "Who gave birth to you?" And he said, "You did." So,
so
my bad.
the first story I want to share is one time we were at Walmart and it was we had fun going through the store or whatever. Sully was just a little guy. He could have been like 3 or 4. And I tell this story all the time to his teachers. Kind of, it's embarrassing for both of us, I guess. But we were at Walmart. We were having fun, and we went to go leave, and little Sully goes running towards the parking lot. And at that time, I was a bigger guy, 400 and some pounds. And
You
I
were
knew,
about to start running.
yeah, I knew I wasn't going to catch him. Even if I started running, I knew I wasn't going to catch him. So I pushed him down.
Hey, it got him to stop.
And we even laughed about it that day. It was like I couldn't do anything. I just pushed him down, and I had to stop him from running out into the parking lot or Walmart, And,
I think everybody around was kind of laughing too because they thought, well, the devil got you.
So, do you have a funny parenting story like that? Maybe a little something a little longer, maybe, because that didn't take very much time.
I don't know. Like with Sully, I've had several. Of course.
I've got a good one about you. You want to tell everybody about the Christmas story? We've told people on the podcast before, but this is a new episode, and the Christmas story where he came out.
Oh, yeah. So I think he was probably like maybe 6 or 7. And it was on Christmas, and he was really excited, and he had just dumped his stocking out. And I think there was like jerky in there, and like all of his favorite things were in there. And he was really excited. And in our house, we have like an open kitchen front room. And so like it's carpet, and then it goes straight to like grout in the kitchen. And so he was right where that grout started to meet the carpet, and he slid, did the splits, and then threw up. So it was really funny, but it was sad at the same time.
I was walking into the room as this was happening, and he's crying and throwing up, and I was like, what happened?
Like it was all instant. Like he did the splits and then threw up.
And that's amazing.
And then was crying. So it wasn't like the crying made him throw up. He did the splits, threw up, and then started crying.
Well, we've talked about how on the show, we've talked about how I can't handle public vomiting when it comes to the kids. It's not
like you just walk away.
I don't know what it is, but when the kids vomit out in public, I am so it's an embarrassment factor first of all, and then it's an ick factor. And I just look at it and I'm going to do it too. And I walk away and I make you handle those things. But there's sometimes where I'm able to handle it okay. One of those times is Caleb, my oldest son. He was sick. I don't know what was wrong with him. It was
I think he just had like a stomach
stomach issue or whatever. And he was about 6 years old, just laying on my arm, and
he was younger than that because Sully wasn't even born. Remember?
Okay, yeah. So he was about 4 then.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, he was about the length of a 6-year-old. But anyway, he was laying in my arms, and him and I were kind of taking a nap on one of those reclining sofas. And all of a sudden, I just woke up, and I could just smell it. And then he goes, and vomited all over him, all over me. It was everywhere. And I stayed calm. I was okay, even though the smell of it was, and I can still kind of smell it, guys. the smell of it was so awful, but I stayed cool, calm, and collected. And you were the one that lost your shit.
No, I was gagging the whole time trying to get you help because all I could think of is it looked like when a dog throws up.
Right, and I couldn't move because because it was like puddled in my arm right here, and I couldn't move or it was gonna go everywhere.
Yeah,
so.
and like you're just holding Caleb there on your lap, and you're
like,
just like,
"Help."
get me a towel, and I'm like, ooh, like the whole time gagging because of course I didn't have any kids of my own, but by then
Right.
So yeah, it was awful.
There's been some wonderful moments like that, but there's been some awful embarrassing moments, like when Caleb was walking through the store with us, and I don't remember what kind of store it was. I do remember it happening, but you said truck stop, I said Walmart.
I think it was like a McDonald's connected to like a truck stop or something like that.
Now
or a
that you
gas
say
station.
that, I remember a lot of stuff happening at that particular place. So I'm
Because we
like, it wouldn't
stopped there.
surprise me.
We stopped there frequently.
But one of those embarrassing moments, you just one of those moments where you just have to walk away. I was mortified. He asked this older gentleman why he had so much hair in his nose and ears, and I was mortified, and I just walked away.
Well, and I don't even know what the guy said, but I know the guy said something to him, but
Goodness.
I don't remember what it was. So.
Then you, oh man, so let's hear another one from you. I don't have any particular ones coming up off the top of my head.
I mean, like, I just know stuff that Sully's done to me when nobody else is around.
Oh,
Like,
let's hear some of those.
so, like, Sully had to have double lazy eye surgery, so of course we had to make multiple trips to the
Yes.
optometrist. And one trip in particular, like they, at a children's optometrist, they have lots of like little gadgets and toys to get them to look, you know.
Yeah.
And so one of those things was like one of those like handheld spinny toys with lights on it. And so they had like a drawer full of stuff.
I remember this story.
And so-
I'm about to lose it just listening
They were
to
letting
you.
Sully like play with it while we were waiting. So it was just him and I in the room. And, he's playing with it and he, like, and I had I had my phone in my hand. I thought, oh, I'll take a picture of me and Sully. And so like I took this picture and we're like both smiling at the camera. And then like right after I took that picture, he sticks it in my hair and it like spins my hair around it. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And so like I'm trying to get it out of my hair before they walk in the room. Meanwhile, he's got my camera taking pictures and his face was like, and so I have them back to back and I still remember that because I'm like, oh my God, this kid's got this toy stuck in my hair and I got to get out for the people walk in. Of course, they walked in right as I was getting it out of my hair.
Oh yeah.
And so like barely saved the day there.
You had another experience with Sully at a doctor's office, and we were just talking about vomiting. It made me think of this story. You want to tell that one?
Yeah, so we were actually talking about this the other day because a small issue escalated into like a 5-day hospital stay. So Sully had several nosebleeds at school this particular day, and I called his doctor to try to see if he could get in because I didn't know what was going on with his nose. And so...
And mind you, these are stories that are funny now, but at the time were probably not so funny.
So... Anyways, we go to the doctor's office. We're sitting there, waiting for the doctor. Sully had coughed, like just a little tiny cough. Nothing major.
One of those.
And then all of a sudden he walked over to me and turned around at me and then just instantly threw up in my face.
Oh no.
All over the front of me, all over the floor. And like the doctor's office had all those magic cabinets that you need a special thing to open. So I couldn't grab a trash can, couldn't grab paper towels. Like there was nothing for me to access. So like the room is covered like wall to wall, like vomit. And Sully's just standing there. He's all covered in vomit. Of course, he's old enough to where I don't have like a diaper bag with a change of clothes. He's like 6. And so all I did was like open the door.
Help.
And I said, help. And the nurse, like, I'll never forget it because she like bent over from her chair and was like, oh my God, I'll be there in just a minute. And so like Yeah. And so like his vomit had like a tinge of blood in it because he threw up so hard.
Oh my goodness.
And sent us out to the ER for some testing. And then we got admitted and got sent to Children's Mercy. And yeah.
which I'm, glad that happened because we discovered some other issues. But
Yeah.
you even called that day and you were kind of laughing about it at the time. It was like one of those, what has happened to my life?
Yeah. Because
You
like,
know.
I thought back to, me gagging over seeing like Caleb throw up on you. And then like here I had Sully like throwing up right in my face all over the front of me. And like I held it together and was like, help. Like, cause
And so I think the best thing that we can do is kind of just laugh it off and move on. Ladies and gentlemen, life is too short to be angry and upset about those things. So, I mean, we all have those days where we're all just irritated and mad, and those days where we feel like we've had enough. And I remember having those days a lot when I was a new dad.
yeah.
And especially with a child who had gastrointestinal issues like Caleb did. And
I think he still does.
yes, he does, oddly enough. So my daughter our daughter recently had said that a funny story kind of happened to her. She kind of giggled about it not too long after. It's one of those parenting stories. I think she got it that it happens at the time, and she kind of laughed it off. But her baby, little, I don't want to give his name, so,
Yeah.
well, just say grandson vomited in her mouth. And I remember back to those days where I just having Caleb up on my shoulders, bouncing him around and throwing up in my hair and all down my face and in my mouth when I'm holding him up. And so you learn really quick not to hold a baby like this and hold your mouth open. You
Especially
learn
after they like done eating or something.
Oh my goodness. I'm telling you, those things happen to everybody. And if we don't laugh it off, you'll cry.
Well, I'm telling you what, like it never happened like with Sully but like with Rocket, I was, changing his diaper
Oh, yeah.
on the footstool. Like, cause I learned, pretty quick with Sully, like make sure you cover things up because he'll pee in his own face or whatever.
Yeah.
And so with Rocket, I thought, okay, I got this. And then like I was changing his diaper and he shit across the room and it hit me in the leg. And I was like I thought I had all my bases covered. Like, how does that happen? Like I took the diaper off and he shit across the footstool and it hit me in the leg. So, yeah.
Oh man, those what you would just have mentioned Sully having double lazy eye surgery. Mm-hmm. And
At the same time.
one of those sad but funny moments in life that we've had was that, when he came out of surgery. And man, I was a nervous wreck when he was going into this surgery. And I had all these worries about him not being able to see correctly, And we go in there right after surgery and he's just crying. He says, Mom, Dad, I'm blind.
Yeah.
And I just lost it. I was laughing and crying at the same time because it was so damn sad. And I'm like, you're not blind.
Yeah. And like he wouldn't open his eyes. And I'm sure it was uncomfortable to try because she
yeah.
said like if he tries to
going to
open them and
hurt.
it's going to feel like sand,
Right.
And so like he wouldn't even open them. And that whole thing was just an experience in itself because I remember on the way home, he had to wear like the protected glasses over his eyes.
Yes, and he kept his eyes closed the whole time, and he had to eat while his eyes were
Yeah.
closed, and he had to listen. What were we listening
Annoying
to?
Orange.
Annoying Orange. Okay, an hour drive home from the surgery center where we were to our house, and we had to stop at McDonald's on the way because he wanted a Happy Meal. And so our phones were synced to the car. And we were like, okay, well, he can't see, so he might as well be able to hear it really well. So that meant we had to listen to it too. And it was Annoying Orange for an hour.
Yeah. But he was back there laughing like,
Yeah.
well, and I remember too, like the glasses were bugging him, so they gave him a wash rag
Oh,
to
yeah,
put over
yeah.
his eyes. But yeah, there he was, like trying to eat his Happy Meal and listen to Annoying Orange at the same time.
You know what? One of those moments
And I had to sit in the back seat with him.
again, that was one of those moments again that we had to laugh at the time or else we'd cry. But one of those moments that wasn't funny at the time and is funny to think about now is the unhappy meal.
Yeah.
So, man, I was when my oldest son Caleb was younger, his mom lived 2 hours away, and which meant every other weekend I had to make that 2 hour drive down, 2 hour drive back. So that was 8 hours of drive time every other weekend for visits. And so we would stop on the way out of town when I took him to his mom's back home. I'd stop at McDonald's to get him a Happy Meal. So I stop at I stop at McDonald's and order the Happy Meal, and he's passed out. And I was like, well, he'll just have it when he wakes up. This is just something we always do, and so I'm not gonna mess it up or whatever. And we get about 15 minutes down the road, on our way out of town. Get about 15 minutes down the road, and he's awake, and he reaches over in his Happy Meal, and there's no toy. And I'm like, oh my God. And he's freaking out. He's losing his mind. And I mean, he's a smart kid and all, but he's still 4 and emotional or whatever. And so his bad day turned into my bad day. And so, which in turn, I called McDonald's and made it, I was like, you guys gave me a Happy Meal. Does this kid sound happy?
It's not very damn happy.
And they were like, drive back here. And I was like, man, I'm 20 minutes away from you. I'm not coming back. I just wanted to, hey, I'm having a bad day. He's having a bad day. I'm having a bad day. Now you're having a bad day.
And you know what makes the Happy Meal really unhappy? When they don't put it in the box.
Yeah.
And they put it in a bag.
That's only happened a few times, but I remember those little cheap ass baggies that they used to give. I remember that.
Yeah. So I'm like, that's not.
But
no.
we call that in our family the unhappy meal incident.
Yeah. I mean,
does this Happy Meal sound happy? It was good times. Good times. So speaking of good times, at work a while back, you went to a trade show and you had got me a can koozie.
Yeah.
And it's the funniest damn thing I've ever seen. It's a trash can. It's great. I don't know if you want to take a picture of this and then put it up larger so they can see it.
Yeah, and I mean it's even got a lid, so you can use it like as a trash can if you want.
Yeah, so if you can use it as a desk trash can. You can just take the lid off of it, and it's funny. I thought that was the coolest damn thing.
I have a yellow one at work. I use it for pens.
I'm such a nerd.
So I think it's cool.
I guess we can give a little update on how Rocket's parent caregiver training, or I guess our parent caregiver training, is going for Rocket. Mm-hmm. We're learning a lot. There's a lot of helpful information. Some of it we knew already. Is just we didn't know proper techniques to kind of handle some things, and that's kind of what we're learning right now is techniques.
Yeah.
And also communication. And that's one thing that we really wanted to work on with Rocket is communication.
Well, and I see some stuff he's already picking up on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like he said, like when before when he was like, well, he still does it, but like begging for your attention, like mom, 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 mom.
Oh, yeah.
He'll be
a
like,
big difference in that.
He'll be like, can you please get me this or whatever? Yes. Or he'll even repeat me like, I see that you need something. What is it that you need?
One thing I'd like to share with you guys that has been really helpful for me to remember. I just learned it on Friday, which was just a couple days ago. So it's ignore the behavior, not the person. And basically what that means, if the kid's struggling and trying to get your attention, as long as he's doing it properly, like you tap on your shoulder, you give him the proper attention, but you don't give in to demands and stuff like that. Ignore the behavior, not the person. And I'm still learning on that. And that's something that we're going to continue further on next week when we meet. But I thought that was a very good thing to remember. And I as I was telling our parent caregiver trainer, I was telling him that's probably a good thing to remember for everyone.
Yeah.
Not just for Rocket, but when I'm dealing with everyone else, ignore the behavior, not the person.
Yeah. Well, and it's really hard, because he said, ignore the behavior, but sometimes it's hard because you're like, oh my gosh, like,
Yeah.
I know he's just doing this stuff to get my attention
Right.
or like something.
Well, and there's some things that you can't ignore, like if he's being destructive or if he's being dangerous, or he's breaking rules, you have to intervene, but you also have to intervene in a way that's that's conducive to him learning and changing what he's like. It's all ties into communication, really, because basically what he's doing is because he can't communicate well.
Yeah.
And if he can communicate how he's feeling properly, like I want, I need, or, it'd make things a lot easier for him instead of just, I need that thing up on the shelf. Instead of asking for it, I'm just going to climb up and get it. So we teach, we need to teach him proper.
Get bowls of salt.
Yeah.
Out of the cabinet.
Yeah, because I was telling the parent caregiver trainer, because I was finishing his sentences, actually, which is probably not a good thing to do.
You probably picked that up from my side of the family.
Right. But he was saying, so when we climb up on the shelf, and so he was like, and you want to teach him to, and then get a step stool. I said, get a step stool and do it by themselves. And he's like, well, that's one thing we could do. He's independent. He's very independent for a reason, is because he's been allowed to, like, he's not been able to communicate well. So I'd be like, get up there and tell me what you want.
Yeah. Well, like a big thing that he's done the past 2 days is he's went and put on his own pajamas.
Yes.
And he never, ever dresses himself.
Yes. That is awesome. He came in and we didn't even know he was doing it last night. He came in all dressed, all pajamas put on correctly. And it was awesome to see that I knew he could do it, just a matter of the want to, and now he's independent enough to want to dress himself. And it's a little sad, but to have to let him grow up that, obviously we're going to have to let him grow up, but
I think he's just one of those kids that, like, you got to let him figure it out. Like, just like, his doctor told me, like,
it seems like with him, once he learns it, he knows it. He's got it.
Like, his doctor told me he would be really hard to potty train. Like, he was like, don't rush it. He's going to be really hard to potty train. So I just kind of let him do his own thing.
He potty trained
himself. So
with very little intervention, and
it took 3 days.
Yeah, very little intervention. He was telling us he had to go, and by the time it was the end of the 3 days, he was fully going on his own. Yeah, like without us, without telling us, just going in and going.
Yeah. So.
He was 2, 3,
yeah.
2.
He was 3.
3.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, because I remember I was like, okay, I'll let him turn 3, and then I'm going to take 2 weeks vacation.
For the record, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening right now and you're catching that our 3-year-old son was potty training himself, and you're just now listening to the show for the first time, our 5-year-old is autistic, so
yeah.
He's not quite 5 yet, but he will be.
A couple weeks. And so when he turned 3, I took 2 weeks vacation because I was like, we're just going to see how this goes.
Yeah.
Because I was solely potty trained him was a disaster.
Yeah.
Like I tried to force him to be potty trained at 2, and it was terrible. So within 3 days, he was going pee on the potty, by himself. Number 2 was a whole different story. It took a
number
little
two. Number
bit
two was
longer.
a struggle because he was afraid of the potty. But
Yeah. Yeah, he would go hide
yes,
and go potty and then come tell you.
yeah. But at least he told us. I pooped.
So it took. Now I can say it took. He was going number 2 before school started, so before
Yeah.
August. So it took
Yeah.
a couple months, and then he was fine.
Yeah.
So
And it's not, it's not like that with every child. We had our difficulties with our other children with potty training, and it was a struggle, but we thought that Rocket would be the hardest, and he was actually the easiest.
the easiest, yeah, and
So-
and that's because I just listened to the doctor, and I thought, oh, he's gonna be really hard to potty train. I'm just gonna let him do his own thing, and then I did let him do his own thing, and
He did it all by
he did
himself.
by himself. So,
I'm very happy and proud of that.
and now if he can just learn to tie his shoes, we'd be good.
On the grades home front, we've got more good news. On the grades home front with Sully, he's almost passing in the core classes. He's coming up. He's making those changes.
Yeah, this week he's got a couple teachers that are willing to help him. This is the last week for
That's
tutoring.
great.
And so one of his teachers was like, yeah, he can stay
I-
over every day with me, and I'll help him fix any assignments that he's did poor on. And
And it's good to hear that kind of stuff because we've reached out so many times, and hey, I don't want this to be a bitch session because I wanted a breakup of the kind of sad shows or the more serious shows that we've had over the last couple weeks. I wanted to share some good news and stuff, and Sully's grades are coming up finally. It seemed like they were standing still there for a while, but we're getting some progress.
Well,
and progress is the
and
the
I'm
main
wondering if
key.
it's because we had the whole homeschool talk, and he's not really feeling like he wants to homeschool. But I'm like, hey,
whatever
your grades
works.
are terrible.
Whatever
it's not
works.
working right now.
We can sit here and blame the teachers all we want to, but the bottom line is Sully's got to do the work.
Yeah.
And he knows that, and I'm serious that I don't want him to grow up not knowing anything.
Yeah.
Especially looking at today's kids out there doing, the crazy things that they're doing these days.
Yeah.
I want him to be smart. He doesn't have to go to college or anything, but I want him to at least know what the hell he's doing. Let's just say he's going to be a machine operator. I don't want him to wrap himself up in a machine because he doesn't know his multiplication tables or something.
Yeah.
I really do hope that things work out, and I think once he gets to high school, I can kind of take over from there because maybe not take over, but kind of intervene more than I do now because I'm so frustrated by the situation going on.
Well, and I think that the teachers in high school, of course, there's 10 times more of them at the high school that he'll be at.
And I think they're a
so-
little more patient.
And I think they'll be able to engage him more because they're going to be dealing with more students like him,
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, his grade's going to have 500 students that are going to be freshmen. So,
And the thing about the high school, and I don't want to talk bad about the high school because I've really had good experiences with the high schools here. Overall, I can't really say anything about the academics because I'm a dummy. But
well, I didn't go to high school here, so.
the high school here, in our experience with Caleb, he had said the laziest teachers were the coolest teachers.
Yeah.
And that's not the case in the middle schools. The laziest teachers are hindering the students.
Yeah.
But you got your lazy people everywhere. I'm lazy too, and if I was a teacher, I'd be a lazy teacher. So I'm not saying anything, not saying anything about that. But it was more of the easy to get along factor,
Yeah.
And I remember one particular class that Caleb had that he didn't stay in very long. It was wood shop, and he said his teacher was pretty, not very engaging with the
Yeah.
class, and he said it was a very easy A, but it was he had to actually work for those grades. You know,
Yeah.
he had to do things for those grades, and it was because he really liked the teacher and didn't want to transfer out of the class.
Yeah. Well,
So,
and I try to tell Sully, like, if you just participate, pay attention, like, I think you'll be fine. Like, because those teachers notice the students that pay attention and
Yeah.
participate,
yeah,
And
absolutely.
not only will, like, if you pay attention and participate, you're going to understand the material better.
And not only that, they're spending a lot of time with them anyway, so they actually know, they can see who's trying and who's not,
Yeah.
and they can engage those students individually.
Yeah. So,
But without going too long about that, I just wanted to give him props. I know he doesn't listen to the show now, but he may in the future, and hey, good job, Sully. And good job for all the kids out there listening to this show that are doing their homework. And
school's almost over for the year.
hey, school's out. Hey, good job, guys. Let's, summer's almost here. We've got some big plans for the summer. Not really, but we're trying. We're trying to make some big plans. I want to go to the Cosmosphere. There's a few trips I want to take.
Yeah.
But, finances permitting, and we definitely want to go down to the local theme park here. We got to get that done. Other than that, you got anything else you want to share with the audience here?
No.
All right. Well,
Not really.
we're going to sign off for now, and we'll see you again Friday. Bye.
Bye.